Good morning. Happy Friday. I'm going to wait for you guys to come on in. Good morning, Instagram. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. While you're logging in, let me just type in my phone number here. How's everyone doing? Comment in the comment box if this is your first time logging in or first time tuning into one of my lives. What's up? Sorry, guys, I'm like trying to multitask and type in this number on Instagram. I'm coming for you guys, Facebook and YouTube. Just give me a minute. Okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Veterans Day. If you are a veteran on my live, comment so we can all give you a shout out. If this is your first time, comment so we can all give you a shout out, definitely. Let me introduce myself. My name is Aisha Chidoe. I'm an immigration attorney. I represent clients all over the United States with their immigration matters. Your location is not a problem. We've got an office here in Atlanta and another one in Orlando. Shout out to my team in Orlando, keeping them safe, and everybody else in Florida with this hurricane. But we represent clients in every state. So your location is not a problem. If you would like to schedule a consult, call us 407-995-6567. You can also send a WhatsApp 404-333-8751. And we'll be happy to, schedule for a consultation with one of the attorneys here. Okay, let me say hi to y'all before I get into my topic. Sandra says, good morning, my beautiful lawyer. How are you doing? It's been a long time. Hope all is well. You're looking lovely as ever. Thank you so much. I feel so much better. I'm 100% back to my regular self. But grateful for all of you guys and your well wishes. Denise says, good morning to the best attorney in the world. Beauty with brains, love hearts. Oh, thank you so much. How'd you do the heart? Love you guys too. Frederick, good morning on Facebook. Let me see what's going on Instagram today. Hi, Sash Gudaz Perry. White Husky Film says, girl, let's make your promo video for TV and social media. Oh, really? Send me a DM. Let's see what's going on. Let me see what your product looks like. Good morning, Mr. Cordova. Sabelle, good morning. Talia Ellington, first time. Good morning. AB Carla says, I called but never received a call back. You did? What number did you call? Because if you're calling our WhatsApp, that's probably why, because you can't really call our WhatsApp. You send messages on there. Send us a DM with your phone number, and then I'll have someone check on you today. If any of my team members are live, take note of AB Carlos L's handle and give him a call back. Luck Surprise, Port Hackett said, it's my first time here. Welcome, welcome. Creatives of Texas, good morning. Good morning, Hope Benjamin. And Yanis, Boo for the Boolas. I've missed you. What's up? Hello from Cali. Good to see you on live again. Thank you. Jenny, good morning. Good morning, J-Roll. Good morning, Almana Taylor, first timer. Blue Trillion says, good morning from Georgia, my best lawyer. Thank you so much. Good morning. Boo for the Bullets, you're a vet. I didn't even know that. Good. Shout out to you on behalf of all of us. We say thank you for the support and words of encouragement. That's so awesome. All right, let me see what else. So today I want to just talk about conditional green cards. If I haven't shouted you out, sorry, it's not that I'm ignoring it. I just can't see everybody. But today I just want to talk about conditional green cards and just removing the conditions in your green card. And I'm going to talk about really the most popular ways that people remove conditions on their green card. What we see more of. But before I get into that, I hope you guys are following our channel for our 10 days of giving. We have a lot planned for our November giving. November is Thanksgiving month. I 100% believe in giving back. No matter how little you have, no matter how big you have, there's always something you can give back. Sometimes giving back is not about money. It's also about your time. It's also about your attention to something, that deserves it. So whatever you can do to give back, for one, being alive, and well in this, tumultuous time of the world, definitely, use this month, if no month at all, to do that. But stay tuned, for a bunch of things that are coming up in the next few days. Okay, so what is a conditional green card? Let's start with that first. So a conditional green card essentially is the kind of green card that you get when you are approved for a green card if you and your spouse have been married for under 2 years at the time your application for a green card is approved. So typically when you look in your green card, it's going to say 2 years. So like if you got it in 2022, it would be expiring in 2024. So what is the difference between a conditional green card and a 10-year green card? Generally, they have the same function, meaning you can apply you can work, you can travel, you can petition for your children, or whatever the case may be. Now, going into the differences. So with a conditional green card, you must file to remove conditions in your green card. So the petition to remove conditions in your green card and the documents and evidence required is going to look similar to a marriage-based petition. Versus if you have a 10-year green card, instead of waiting all the way to the 10 years and then applying for renewal of your green card, you can just, if you speak English, you don't have any good moral character issue, and you read and write English, then you can file for citizenship. So you don't have to wait 10 years and then file for a renewal. You can file for citizenship either at the 3-year mark and then the 5-year mark. With conditional green card holders, typically you can also file for citizenship, but you will not be granted citizenship until they first adjudicate and approve removal of conditions for you. So what are the ways that you can remove conditions on your green card? So the first way is, of course, you and your spouse. So you and your spouse can apply. Your spouse can apply as like a co-sponsor. Both of you sign the documents, provide all the evidence, and file for removal of condition. If you have all the evidence that they need, typically they would bypass an interview and then just give you the 10-year green card. Now, USCIS, just like everybody else in the world, knows that sometimes marriages don't work, and they're not going to hold you or say we're going to deny you because your marriage doesn't work. Really, at the end of the day, all USCIS wants to see is that you have a legitimate marriage. So you can remove conditions if you get a divorce. You can remove conditions if your spouse is extremely cruel and has battered you, or is abusive, just using that interchangeably. You of course can also remove it in the unfortunate instance of death, and then of course extreme hardship. I'm sure you guys that have been following me for a while know that I tend to focus a lot more on joint removal, death, divorce, extreme cruelty, because extreme hardship is really, 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 really difficult to get, like showing that you have hardship in your country, depending on what country you're from. So if you can fall into one of these other categories, it's better, you have a stronger chance of removal. So I just want to touch on each of them real quick. I've already talked about joint removal with your spouse. That's pretty self-explanatory. The other way is if you and your spouse get divorced, you have to submit removal of conditions and provide your divorce decree. So if, let's say, you've not yet divorced and you're like, well, I'm divorcing this person and I'm going to file it, you want to make sure that you get your divorce before they make a decision, because if you don't get the divorce, they will not approve you. Typically they will give you like 87 days, which is like an RFE, to provide a divorce decree. If, let's say, you said you're removing it based on, divorce, but your divorce is still pending, and then you have to get that divorce in order for them to remove the conditions and give you the 10-year green card. Um, the other option is extreme cruelty. So there's similarities and differences to a VAWA case based on extreme cruelty, where the person doesn't have a green card, versus extreme cruelty, where you have a conditional green card. Here, you basically have to prove that your spouse has been extremely cruel to you, and what they've done and what steps you've basically taken to either stop it or report it and stuff like that. I talk a lot about, when you hear me talk about VAWA cases and certain evidence is not required, or all credible evidence is considered. When you have a conditional green card, the standards are much higher. Why are the standards much higher? The standards are much higher because at this point you have a green card, so you can move, come and go as you please. You have a social security number, so you have the ability to take power or control, where the level of control when you don't have any of those things is much higher, and it's easier to explain. The other thing is, by the time you get your conditional green card and are filing for removal of conditions, you and your spouse would have been married for 3 years, 4 years, or whatever the case may be. And so typically they're expecting to see more stuff to show the bona fide nature of your marriage. So, where USCIS might cut you some slack, and, you guys haven't been married for like, up to a year, and, they approve you don't have a lot of stuff. With conditional green cards, they're really looking to see, well, what do you guys have? Like, since you got your green card, what else do you have? What else have you gotten? When you're submitting evidence, you can't really submit evidence from before you got your conditional green card, because it's irrelevant. So every evidence you submit really should be after you get your green card, unless you can prove, or unless you can show that you don't have those things because of the extreme cruelty of what is happening in your relationship. With conditional green cards, when you can get a police report, get a police report. When you can get a psychological evaluation, get a psychological evaluation. When you can confide in friends and family and they know about what's going on, get an affidavit from them to confirm. When you guys can file taxes together, because at this point, you obviously have your social security number and the ability to work, file taxes together. Sometimes, you might have an abusive spouse who doesn't want to file taxes with you, or has like debt and stuff like that, which you don't want to take on. In those cases, you can still file married filing separately and just really do a good job of documenting or explaining why that's happening. But in that way, you can remove the conditions in your green card. The caveat, or the big thing to mention here is that if you have a conditional green card and they remove your conditions on the basis of extreme cruelty, you'll still be eligible to file for citizenship at the 3-year mark of your green card, your original green card date, which is different from, let's say, divorce, because once you divorce, you then just have to wait the 5-year to file for citizenship. And one thing I always tell clients is like, listen, I'm an advocate for becoming a U.S. citizen. I'm sure you guys have seen recently a bunch of people that we've been helping with their naturalization. But when you're a conditional green card holder, do not rush to file something unless you're sure of something, because there's nothing more annoying than going through this process and then getting denied, saying that you're not eligible for citizenship, or you've not yet reached a good moral character, or your spouse has not been a U.S. citizen for X amount of time, or we're not removing conditions based on extreme cruelty. So you have to remember really the differences in you being a 10-year green card holder and a citizen outside of election and like voting, being a part of a jury, and stuff like that, are really who you can petition for and how quickly you can petition for them. But you want to basically make sure, is what I'm saying, that you're truly eligible, because we see so many people filing prematurely for citizenship, and then they get denied, and they're like, well, can you look and see why I got denied? And I'm like, yeah, because you're not eligible. So your goal when you have a 2-year green card is to ultimately first get that 10-year green card. Now, that being said, we will typically have clients where I know for a fact that they're for sure eligible. The amount of evidence is there's nothing to talk about. Everything speaks for itself. In those cases, I generally will encourage, okay, you've reached that time, let's do the naturalization so that they can make the decision all in the same day and you'll be done with the process. So that's basically it. Let me take y'all's questions. Feel free to jump in, ask some questions. Happy to answer. Coco Forever says, I-360 approved last April, 360 and 485 filed together. Last update was 485 fingerprints were taken. What's next? What's next is one of two things could happen. Well, congratulations first on getting your 360 approved. 360 means that his VAWA case was approved. His or her VAWA case was approved. The next thing is you will either be called for an interview or you'll be asked for new medicals. And then they will bypass the interview and grant you your green card. So fingers crossed for you. This typically takes a couple of months. So, I know a lot of people think maybe, you get approved for your VAWA case April or May, you'll get your green card. No. It's different in that, with the I-130 and the 485, that's like a typical marriage-based case. It's one officer that's making the decision in one location, whereas when you have a VAWA case, one is being made in a completely different unit, the VAWA case, and then once that's decided, then it transfers over to the field office and you essentially get in queue to when they're available, and stuff like that. So Lulu Tech says, what do you need as strong evidence to file for violence as a spouse without a police report? So things that I would consider strong evidence, first and foremost, your personal statement. We call it a declaration, but your personal statement, has to be believable and credible, and it has to be substantiated by certain other things. I know some people think, well, that's not fair. Like, especially U.S. citizens, sometimes I see them commenting saying that, oh, that's not fair, that someone can just lie and write whatever they want to say and USCIS would believe them. I will tell you that USCIS is very discerning, and it takes a lot to get one approved. It's not just about your personal statement. It's just one of many things that they take into consideration. The second thing is if you have supporting evidence and credible witnesses that know what happened, so you might not have gone to the police, but maybe you told a friend, maybe you told a coworker, maybe your landlord knows what happened, maybe your neighbors. Like some clients, like their neighbors are the ones that call the cops all the time because they're always fighting. Those people can write affidavits, and get those affidavits notarized to confirm that they're ready and able to testify if asked to. I mean, rarely are they ever asked, but they're ready and able to if they ask them to. Another thing is, depending on what it is that happened with you, if there's a lot of emotional, like mental and psychological issues there with how the person has treated you, a psychological evaluation is very, very helpful. Being able to speak to therapists, therapists being able to assess your mental condition, being able to say, this person is suffering from post-traumatic stress from this relationship, or this person had a clinical diagnosis of major depression or anxiety disorder. Those are all credible evidence. Some people also go to their place of religion or your religious leader, whether it's your imam or a pastor, a priest, or whoever you go to. Or some people have like family counseling or therapists that they go to. Those are all things where you can use that to support where, the pastor or your religious leader or religious elder or whatever knows what's happening or has tried to counsel you guys before. Those are also good evidence. And a lot of times also, when you're able to send screenshots that are clearly from your spouse, i.e. the phone numbers are there and are able to be easily trackable to that person, and showing certain, like the way they speak to you, because you have different types of couples or different types of people. Some people will call you and curse you out. Some people will type or voice note you to death and curse you out. So like if you have one that they're gaslighting you, you know, like I'll give an example. We had this that of a successful case that we had where this spouse would say all this. So like let's say the spouse found out that he had been having an affair with like 4 people, you know, 4 different people, all different people sending pictures of like X-rated images and things that we're doing with the spouse. And instead of the spouse to be remorseful, you know, the spouse said, what's that? I don't remember the phrase, but spouse focused a lot on this is why you need to mind your business. And, you know, you're the one who's crazy because why were you searching through my stuff? You'll find what you're looking for, and just really went in. And you could see in the messaging the person who was wronged, you know, being the one that was profusely apologizing, feeling like she had done something wrong. Like that's an example of like gaslighting. So it's like you've done something wrong, but you're accusing the person who found out the information because, i.e., they saw the messages pop up or some of them sent it to that person. So like text messages, you know, also help to see that. And then some people publicly shame their spouses online, you know, where they go and they write stuff about their spouses or like they fight and they put those hypotheticals. So those are all different, you know, obviously this is not an exhaustive list, but I'm just kind of giving you, Lulu, examples of other things that would be considered credible evidence when you don't have a police report. You know, I mean, obviously, I feel like with conditional green cards, when you're a conditional green card holder, it's easier to have a police report versus when you're not, because in that case, you don't have your green card, you don't have a social security. So the threat of deportation is really, really there and really, really scary. But in the other case, it's easier to do. But I also understand that sometimes the nature of psychological abuse is that even though you have status here, when somebody has made you feel like they understand the law better than you, and that trust me, you will go home, you will get deported, you need me more than I need you. Sometimes it still makes people scared and they don't go to report. You know, we've even had a case where the person called the cops, the abused called the cops. And when the cops showed up, the person that ended up getting arrested. I mean, there was some racial undertone in that particular case, but the person that ended up getting arrested was the victim, you know, not the aggressor, you know, until they went to trial and determined that it was the other way around. And that is truly a fear of a lot of people, because not only was that person arrested, that person went from the arrest to an ICE facility and being put in deportation proceedings. So there are many reasons why people might not have a police report, but a police report is just one piece of the puzzle. Okay. Sabelle says, is it true that we can apply for citizenship after 5 years of green card? Technically, yes. You just need to meet all the other eligibility requirements like taxes, child support. And let me speak to women in particular when I'm talking about child support. It's not only men who have to pay for child support. If you are not with your children, and either your spouse, your ex-spouse, or your baby daddy is taking care of your children, or his family is taking care of the children, you need to be paying child support. You need to have some sort of agreement or show some sort of evidence, because you will get denied for citizenship. You know, USCIS does not play around with children in this country. They do not play with children. And if those children, regardless of what country they're in, if you cannot show that your children, your minor children, are not being taken care of financially, you will not be eligible for citizenship, because it would mean basically that you don't have good moral character. There's no, I'm not getting along with my baby daddy. There's no, well, I don't know where to send it to. There's no, the judge didn't really say anything. You need to be taking care of your children. So other things that you want to consider is selective service, how old you are when you get your green card. Did you register for selective service? And then of course, crimes of moral turpitude. So you want to make sure that you're eligible. If you've, let's say you've been arrested before, you want to make sure that you've passed a good moral character window and that you don't have crimes of moral turpitude that will stop you from being eligible. But generally, that the 5 year will be a start. Okay, and then the last thing, of course, you want to make sure that you meet the continuous presence and residency requirement, which is typically half of the time. So if you're filing for citizenship based on having a green card for 5 years, you want to show that 2.5 of those years you were present in the United States. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Do I have to divorce with VAWA? No, you don't have to. There are many people that don't want that choose to stay with their abuser or don't have the courage, even if they want to leave their abusers because, or they don't have the finances to leave, or they share a child together and they've been told basically, I will take you for everything. And so for those people, they tend to wait until they're able to stand on their own or have their work permit or prima facie and get public assistance before they divorce. And then for other people, they choose to forgive their spouses, So the thing is, I'm not God, I'm not in your relationship. You can do what you want in your relationship. Like, I'm sure we can count, as many people as we know that the spouses wrong them in many ways and they choose to forgive them, but it doesn't stop that your spouse has been extremely cruel and abusive to you. So, whether you choose to stay with your spouse or not, even if you're eligible, you can still be eligible. If you divorce, you can divorce. If you stay, you can stay. Let me use, let's use Khloe Kardashian, for example, right? I'm sure you guys watch, unless you live under a rock, the Kardashians. And what do they call Tristan Thompson? Tristan has probably publicly humiliated her, slept with so many people, had children, with other people, and, each time she forgives him. But does that mean that he's not been, extremely cruel and, embarrassed her publicly and done all those things? No, it doesn't. But she's made the personal choice to stay in a relationship. We all may not agree with that, but at the end of the day, that's between the two of them what they choose to do. So in your case, you can make that personal choice, but it doesn't stop your eligibility. Let's see, what else do we have? Okay, so Blue for the Bullet said, is there any way one can check a VAWA case status update? A friend filed and received her receipt and prima facie in 3 months, and it's almost a year now. It's still waiting on work permit documents. Well, I guess the first question would be, did they file for their work permit properly? Did they file the right category? Did they file it in the right location? Did they file it concurrently? So there are so many variables there. And if there are, and they are past the processing time, the only way to check if they don't have an attorney is to write in a letter. You cannot call when you're a VAWA victim to ask about the status. If you have an attorney, we have an attorney option to reach out, where we have to identify ourselves as, your attorney and provide all that information. Okay, Uchenna Eze says on YouTube says, I have a Nigerian passport going through my immigration process and I have my work authorization and advance of parole. Can I apply for a UK tourist visa for 2 weeks? So I don't handle UK visas, so I will not speak on UK visas. If you do get a UK visa, the question is, can you travel to the United Kingdom once you have a visa to go to the United Kingdom? The answer will depend on your immigration history, what phase you are in your application process. If this is before you've been scheduled for an interview, if you know and your EOIR has been checked, you don't have any NTAs, which is notice to appear in front of an immigration judge or anything like that, typically then there's no issue traveling and coming back. Okay. And then James Dureska on Facebook says, my question is, what is next after the prima facie gets expired? After your prima facie gets expired, and for those of you who don't know, this is for like an I-360 ballot petition. Your prima facie that you're given is usually for 12 months. Once that's expired, you will get another one for 6 months, and they'll keep sending them automatically in 6-month increments. And then until they actually approve your ballot petition. So you don't have to apply for a new one. It will automatically come. They tend to come after the expiration date, but they will come. Okay. Okay. I did my 10-year interview in October, but have not heard anything from USCIS. Would I be able to apply for citizenship with the conditions on my green card? Candy J, I don't know at what point you joined, but as you recall, I just mentioned that without knowing what your immigration history is, whether or not for a fact you will be getting your removal removed, I can't tell you or not whether you're eligible to file for citizenship. So in your case, I would say there's not much of a hurry. You can always wait. October was literally just 2 weeks ago. And USCIS generally has at least 120 days to make a decision, do some investigation. If after 6 months you haven't heard from them, then you definitely want to do a service inquiry to see what's going on. Usually after 6 months, there is some secondary investigation being done, which could include visits to you, your spouse, people who know you guys, or vetting some of the documents that you submitted. If my wife filed an I-130 at the age of 20, will she have to file another one when she turns 21? I don't understand the question. Can you phrase it better? I really don't understand what your question is. Okay, so Certified Blast said, what is meant by request for initial evidence for the I-485? It just means that they're requesting for that's if you've ever heard the word RFE. RFE means request for evidence. It means that they don't have enough to move forward with your case or to make a decision on your case, so they need additional evidence. Sometimes what you get is an NOID, which is also known as a Notice of Intent to Deny. An NOID basically means that based on everything you've submitted, we cannot approve you for X, Y, and Z reasons unless you can, rebut all the things here, all the discrepancies. So an NOID is much more serious than an RFE. I mean, they're both serious, but what I'm saying is that an NOID is not good, because it basically means you're going to be denied unless you can persuade and convince us otherwise. Whereas an RFE is just simply saying, we don't have enough, send us this stuff so we can then review everything. Wasim said, after the second interview result is taking more time. So what do you suggest if relationship is not going good? Wait or file for VAWA? Without knowing what's going on, you just can't just file for VAWA because your relationship is not going good. You have to have extreme cruelty, and abuse by your spouse. So, one of the things that one would want to know is why did you get a second interview? What happened in your first interview? What is going on in your records? And one would need to evaluate you just to see what's going on there. Barbell says, what are the documents needed for removal of conditions? Basically, the same documents that you need for filing a marriage-based case, which is proof of a bona fide marriage, after your conditional green card. So if you got your conditional green card in 2021, you cannot send them proof of a real marriage from 2020 or 2019. Everything you send has to be after 2021 date, or basically those are the things that will carry any kind of weight. Saladan says, why on USCI's page does it say VAWA is now 31.5 months? Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, 31.5 months really is 2.5 years, which I've always said, it can take anywhere from 2 to 2.5 years. Because 2 years is 24 months. Add another 6 months, that's 30 months, so 31 months, 30 months, same thing. USCIS website, when they give you processing time, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to fall in that box. It's basically saying that at that point, 80% of people who applied should have gotten a decision on their case. That being said, you're going to see people that will get it within the 2-year window. 24. I would say you see more people between the 24 month to maybe like 29 months. That's when a lot of people get their decision. I know a couple of people have asked recently, like when we post our results, how long did that particular person take? And I always say, every case is different. So I never want you guys to use one person's to think that that's when yours will be, because you got to remember, you have different offices reviewing every case. Different offices have different caseloads. Some people take longer than the others. And some people, there's certain things that come with the application. Now, if you filed a standalone I-360, we tend to see, we're seeing in the more recent times, those taking a shorter time. I don't yet want to say that this is a pattern. I've seen a handful of those where it's basically taking maybe a year, or like 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, but again, it doesn't accelerate like your adjustment of status. But also if you do the standalones, then you don't get the work permit and travel permit. So, it's a double-edged sword. The key thing is, if you file for VAWA and you file with an adjustment of status, make sure you apply for your work permit and travel permit. So that way, while you're waiting, now with the 2-year work permits and travel permits they're giving, you have the same things that you would be able to get as a green card holder, to work and to travel while you're waiting. So it's not so bad. The worst thing is waiting and you're not able to get those things. So, that's, kind of what it is. Okay, guys, I want to take like 2 more questions and then I'm jumping off. I filed my I-130 and I received my receipt date November 17, 2021, so about a year ago. There was no movement until June 8. It says the case is being actively reviewed. The records show nothing is outstanding at this time. I noticed a few features that showed processing times. It went from 3 weeks to 1. Now it's saying your case is taking longer than expected to process. You do not need to take any action at this time. Yeah, root gal since 85. It's really the same, for everyone. Personally, this is personal, where my own spouse filed for his mother and, similar date line, and, we're still waiting. I know sometimes you guys think that we have like a magic sauce of pushing certain things, but, there are just certain things that once they're within processing time, there's not much you can do. Once they go out of processing time, there's much more you can do, but once they're within processing time, there's not a lot you can do. But just hope that they'll make a decision quicker. Tanique says, can I travel after my VAWA has been approved? So you travel based on your travel permit, not based on your approved VAWA. So if you have a travel permit, like meaning your advanced parole, which is your combination card, and you have vetted or verified that you don't have any removal proceedings, yeah, you can travel. And if you're one of our clients, call us and we'll just run your alien number to make sure you're good to travel. Okay. Yassine says, can you apply for VAWA when you've divorced? Only if the divorce happened with within the last 2 years. So basically, if your divorce is over 2 years old, you can't apply for VAWA. Can my U.S. citizen mother file for her grandchildren? No. So The people who can file, the U.S. citizens who can file are the following. A U.S. citizen can file for their spouse, their children. The ones under 21 will be considered immediate relatives. The ones over 21 will be considered sons and daughters, a family preference category, and then it also changes based on whether they're married or whether they're single. Those ones take time, but the immediate preference, meaning that you can apply for adjustment of status right away, are children under 21. US citizens can also file for their siblings. Their siblings will not be considered immediate relatives, even though for all intents and purposes they are immediate relatives, but they're not for immigration purposes. Those take the longest time and could take anywhere from 15 to 18 years. Okay, final question. And then you guys gotta log back in on Tuesday. Let me get a good one. Can someone who received a letter of denial and didn't get a green card, can they file for vacation after 3 years? What do you mean file for vacation? Like, I'm not sure. I understand. Rude Gal, you said I tried to DM you my question. It was too long. Don't DM me your question. I don't check my DMs, guys. So all of you that type all those questions, I can't answer you there. If you want legal advice, you have to schedule a consultation. I get a lot of DMs, and if I sat down and started responding to DMs, I would never get any work done. So schedule a consult. That's the best way to get your question answered. I think that I do try my best to come on here and give you guys game and tea, live when I can. But ultimately, if you want personalized consultation to evaluate your case, you don't even have to hire myself or whichever attorney you go to for a consultation, but get a consultation instead of doing guesswork or patch piecemeal. Let me get this information from this lawyer. Let me get this one from this lawyer. Let me get this one from all your lives and just try to merge it. Just schedule a consultation. You deserve that. It's really nothing in the grand scheme of what you're pursuing, which is your green card. So this consultation should be the least of your concerns doing one of those. Okay, guys, I enjoyed chit-chatting with you guys live. I'll be back on Tuesday at 10 o'clock, so tune in. Subscribe to my channel if you're on YouTube. Share this video if you're on Facebook so other people are also getting the same information that you are. If you have friends, cousins, family, dealing with anything that we talk about, share it. And then hit the notification button on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram so you can be notified when I go on live. Until then, have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.